All right, so far, we are not very far, right? We have met Leo and his brother Gareth, and they're playing tag. And what was Leo doing that was bothering his brother?
Oh, he was doing his fancy little thing.
Hologramizing himself, and so making it look like he was somewhere where he wasn't. And yeah. So then there was an announcement that what was happening?
An alarm went off and then aliens.
Intruder, pirate.
Yes, there were space pirates attacking the ship. All right. Until another smaller blast caused the ship to shiver again, bringing Leo back. In the corridor, even the emergency lights started to flicker. The Beagle was wounded, limping, its engines disabled. The Jarek were preparing to board. Dr. Fender leveled a finger at his sons. Whatever happens, you two stay here. Understand? Gareth, you're in charge. You keep your brothers safe. I will be back as soon as I can. Gareth nodded, but Leo reached out for his father's coat. Wait, where are you going? To engineering, to see if I can do something to help with the navigation system. Hopefully the security team can hold off the Jarek long enough for us to break free and make a jump. Stay here. Keep yourselves hidden. Dr. Fender gathered his sons in an embrace that lasted all of 10 hammering heartbeats. I love you both more than anything. And then he was up and out the door, letting it whisper close behind him, leaving Leo and Gareth huddled together, trembling in the dark. Gareth, it's okay, Leo. I'm here, and Dad will come back. He's going to get us out of this. Leo felt his brother's hand smoothing his hair, working his way from front to back. It was something he remembered their mother doing whenever they got sick, running her forked fingers through their sweaty bangs, softly blowing on their foreheads to cool them. Her breath always smelled like mint from the gum she chewed. Everything's all right, she would say. Everything's going to be just fine. He always believed her. But Leo knew it wasn't always true. Of all the things that could happen, of all the things that had happened, this was as bad as it could get. The Jarek were sworn enemies of the Coalition, a plague on the universe, brutal and bloodthirsty, with little care for humanity or any species other than their own. They had no qualms attacking an unarmed ship, stripping it of its fuel, leaving it to drift, its crew to suffer and starve. Leo had heard all the stories, but he didn't need them to know what the Jarek were capable of. He'd seen firsthand. Leo tried to take deep breaths, but they still hitched and sputtered. What will they do if they find us? They won't find us, Gareth whispered. What will they do if they find Dad? Gareth didn't answer at first. Their father was one of the highest-ranking science officers in the Coalition. That alone made him valuable. Dad's smart, Gareth said at last, understating it by a mile. He'll think of something. A final explosion drew a whimper from Leo as the alarm abruptly shut off, making it easier to hear the muffled chaos from the other side of the door. Shouting, gun blasts, the Beagle's limited security forces making their stand against the Jarek boarding party. It didn't last long. Leo pressed even closer to his brother as the sound of battle gave way to silence. The room was bathed in an eerie yellow glow that made the shadows loom large against the wall. He wanted to call out for their father. Why couldn't he have just stayed with them? Why did he have to leave them here alone? Leo knew the answer, of course. Calvin Fender would do everything he could to save the ship, the crew, as many as possible. The silence was interrupted by voices from beyond the closed door. They weren't ones Leo recognized. They certainly weren't human. Gareth, what's happening? His brother clamped a hand over Leo's mouth, but a moment too late. The door slid open softly, and Leo nearly jumped, giving them away, but Gareth held him, both arms knotted around his chest. Leo peeked through a slit in the metal door that provided their only cover and barely choked down a scream. It was one of them. He had seen them before in pictures, vids, but never so close enough to see the skin of diamond-shaped scales stitched together, hard as a sapphire, but ashen gray in color. The ridge of spikes running along the jawline, mirroring the rows of serrated white teeth inside, the gill-like slits along their necks rippling with each breath. Scalies, lizzies, gray devils, the nicknames given to them by humans to degrade or diminish them, to make them seem less scary than they really were. It didn't work. The Jarrek's giant, lidless black eyes swept the room like a spider's eyes. A glossy black mirror that gave away nothing, showed no sign of pity or fear. The soldier's spindly arms held its rifle at the ready. It was said that the Jark were somewhat humanoid in shape, with their straight spines and short neck, their splayed, unwebbed fingers, their prominent skulls. But to Leo, they looked as far from human as possible. The creature raised its chin, giving a sniff through two thin slits. Its eyes came to rest on the desk and on the two boys cowering behind it. It made a sound, a clicking, from somewhere behind its pointed teeth. A warning, a call to others, or maybe just some note of satisfaction at having discovered such easy prey. Tag, you're it. Leo wondered if they should make a run for it, try to squeeze past the Jarek marauder, slip into the corridor, make their way to the engineering. To Dad, but his limbs were stiff with fear. The Jarek's rifle swept across the room, those black, unblinking eyes reflecting everything in miniature. Leo thought of his mother, and the hot anger surged inside him. The alien's head whipped sideways, the sound of more gunfire from farther down the corridor catching its attention. With another click of its tongue, it slipped back through the entry, leaving the door open. The brothers still bunkered behind the desk. What can we infer about Leo's mother? She is dead, and she was probably killed by a Jarek. It's spelled Djarik, so I think I'm like pronouncing it a couple different ways, but it's like Jarek. You know? Leo felt his brother's breath on the back of his... Wait. Yeah. Where am I? Oh, no. Yep. Leo felt his brother's breath on the back of his neck, the one Gareth had been holding. Okay, Gareth whispered. It's okay. He's gone. But he wasn't. He was out there somewhere. They were inside the ship. There was no safe place, no matter what, Leo's father said. The brothers huddled in their shadowy corner for 5 minutes, 10, 30, their legs cramped, afraid to stand up, to even activate the switch on the door, feeling the cold sweat stain their uniforms, twitching at every sound until at last they heard the names being called. Gareth! Leo! The voice was familiar, though it wasn't the one Leo had been hoping for. We're in here, Gareth shouted. Leo pulled himself to his feet just as Captain Sato appeared in the doorway. She looked different from when he'd seen her earlier that day. Her normally tightly buttoned uniform hung loose on her shoulders, one of which supported a makeshift sling for her arm, a spot of crimson soaking through. Are you hurt? She asked. Leo shook his head. The Giark? Are they gone? She finished. They took what they wanted and left. What they wanted, no doubt in Leo's mind that could be, Ventasium, more fuel for their fleets. The Beagle wasn't a military ship. It was a scientific research vessel. They didn't have any weaponry aside from what their small security force carried. Captain Sato was the most valuable officer on the ship. The only other passenger who was even a ranking member of the coalition was... Leo saw the look in the captain's eye and felt a chasm instantly open inside him, a black hole forming at his center. He knew without even asking, knew by the twist in his gut, the tightness in his chest. Captain Sato didn't look away. I'm sorry, she said, trying to steady her voice. We tried to stop them. We did, but it was no use. Leo reached out for something to hold on to and found his brother's hand as his whole world crumbled again. His dad was taken.